In the terms of the geopolitical and war stuff going on, we often talk about what's going on in the Middle East. We often talk about things like Russia and Ukraine and what's going on with China and all these types of places. But one of the countries that often gets not necessarily overlooked, is North Korea. And they're kind of the wild card. They're kind of a weird little piece in what's going on, but they do indeed play a part of what's going on globally in the coming World War III that's at hand. And we've seen some recent news coming out regarding escalation between North Korea and South Korea. Let's take a look. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Zach, the Wretched Watchman, and I'm bringing you a little bit of news of what's going on with the Koreas. I don't know if you can call them that, but that's what we got going on, the Korean things that are happening over there with North Korea and South Korea. So, so as I kind of put in the intro on this, there's been some escalation regarding North Korea and South Korea. And there's kind of been a little bit of bad information floating around regarding an attack that happened. Now, there wasn't really an attack. There was just an escalation, so to say. So I kind of want to make sure that we get the right information on this regarding that. But before we get into it, just remember, as we watch these things unfold, just because something happens that's significant, worth watching on this, doesn't mean things are going to unfold tomorrow. We tend to jump into things pretty quickly. We see things out there that things are going to start happening tomorrow, or things are about to go hot. These types of things, but ultimately these are just pieces getting moved around the board. I always talk about what we see going on around the world as a risk board. And if anybody has played Risk, there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of countries, and it takes a long time to play. And so what we're seeing right now is we're seeing the long time of playing, of moving these pieces around when it comes to these countries. So let's take a look and see what we got going on. It says, this is coming from the Korea Daily. It says, North Korea declares South Korea a hostile state and destroys inter-Korean roads. On October 17th, North Korea revealed through its domestic media that it had blown up the inter-Korean roads connecting the Gyeonggi Line and the Donghae Line, declaring South Korea a completely hostile state. The state-run Rodong Sinmun reported, as part of a phased measure to completely separate the sovereignty zones of our nation and South Korea's territory, we have physically severed the ties, the roads and railways connected to the southern border. The demolition reportedly took place on October 15th, and while North Korea initially announced the action through its external propaganda outlet, the Korean Central News Agency, it took 2 days before informing its citizens through the Rodong Sinmun. So we keep going here. It says the newspaper justified the move, citing North Korea's constitution, which regulates South Korea as a completely hostile state. It further claimed that the measure was necessary in response to severe political and military provocations by hostile forces, adding that the current security environment has led the region to the brink of an unpredictable war. We'll take a look at what these provocations are in just a second. It involves some drones and stuff like that may or may not have been South Korean military. It says the report emphasized that the recent action has completely severed the links between North and South Korea, and that further steps would be taken to permanently fortify the closed southern border. In a separate article titled, We Will Fight Without Hesitation to Protect the Dignity of Our Nation, the Rodong Sinmun harshly criticized South Korea, stating that the people's hatred and anger towards South Korean puppets who dared to mention the end of the regime while severely violating the sacred sovereignty and dignity of our republic have reached the limit. The report also quoted North Korean leader Kim Jong-un saying, "We will respond decisively to any provocation or war maneuver that threatens our nation's sovereignty and dignity and will impose punishment." So what they did is they went through and they blew up main roadways and railways between North Korea and South Korea as basically an escalation and a sign of declaring them a hostile state. And they are in no way getting any more friendly. They are actually moving in the opposite direction with things escalating over there. Along with this, it was ordered, I think it was eight. But there was several groups of artillery that were ordered to the southern border and placed in basically have their ordnance directed towards South Korea. So that's usually a sign of strength or showing strength, basically saying we're not messing around and stuff. We see the stuff all the time of people moving things to different borders and getting things aimed and whatnot as just a display to say the least. And so we're seeing this increase when it comes to the hostility between North Korea and South Korea on this. So let's go ahead and move into this one. It gives us a little bit more information about why this happened, what started the escalation, the political speech that's going on between the two, as well as we can see here. North Korea says 1.4 million apply to join army amid tensions with the South. This is from October 16th. And so let's go ahead and get into what this has got going on. It says North Korea state military on Wednesday, around 1.4 million young people had applied to join a return to the army this week, blaming Seoul for a provocative, I can speak, I promise, drone incursion that had brought the tense situation to the brink of war. The fiery rhetoric comes after North Korea last week accused Seoul of sending drones over Pyongyang that scattered a huge number of anti-North leaflets. The North then blew up inter-Korean roads and rail lines on its side of the border on Tuesday and warned that the South would pay a dear price. According to data from the International Institute for Strategic Studies, North Korea has 1.28 million active soldiers and about 600,000 reservists, with 5.7 million worker, peasant, Red Guard reservists among many unarmed units. Seoul's defense ministry did not comment on the latest KCNA report, but has warned that if North Korea inflicts harm on the safety of South Koreans, that day will be the end of its regime. So that's we saw that comment in the earlier article that we were talking about. So basically, they're saying that North Korea sent over, or South Korea sent over drones into North Korea, dropping anti-North propaganda leaflets onto people. They saw this as a sign of aggression and escalation. So they blew up the roads and railways, ordered their artillery to go to the border. And then this caused political tension to rise with South Korea, basically saying if this increases, it'll be the end of your regime. So hopefully we're all following along on what's going on with this. Now, it says Western countries have long accused North Korea of sending weapons to help Russia fight in Ukraine. I believe there is validated proof that there is some Russian or North Korean weaponry in Ukraine. How that got there and whatnot, we don't know. But we do know that North Korea is allied with Russia. They actually just did a confirmation signing agreement treaty between them a few months back. I covered that on that. So it is official. They are allies. So that would make sense. On Wednesday, Ukrainian President Zelensky said that the North was also sending personnel, becoming actively a participant in the war. I can't really confirm anything on if they sent actual military units to Ukraine on that one. But again, pieces are getting moved all over the board, so it is possible. Asked about that issue, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell said that there were signs of the North's enhanced material support for Russia, which is being felt on the battlefield, but that Washington was still evaluating the reports. So we could see here that there's definitely no friends between North Korea and South Korea. They have long been enemies for a very long time. There's constantly ups and downs when it comes to how peaceful they are with each other, but there's never actually any peace between them. It's kind of the same thing what we see with China and Taiwan, as well as China and Japan and whatnot. They just do not get along with each other at all. But we're seeing increase. Now, again, North Korea is often overlooked. A lot of the time it's because everybody just calls him, Rocket Man, and they don't take him serious with that. But the thing is North Korea is one of the main players when it comes to what we see going on with the escalation globally with World War III, whether it's through ordnance, political interactions, and the fact that they are a support of the main new axis, I guess you can call, with Russia and Iran and all those countries as well. But we are seeing pieces being moved around the board. I'm not saying things are going to happen tomorrow. I highly doubt things explode tomorrow. But when we watch these things, we got to remember that these guys, these people leading these things, are on a script, and they will do things according to the time that they're told to do them. And so when we see escalation like this, again, how many times have we seen escalation between China and Taiwan? And we go several years back, and everybody's saying it's going to happen. We got war that's going to happen any day now. Things are about to go hot. War's about to start. I don't know why I just went George W. Bush all of a sudden. Go out and go shopping. Yeah, Patriot Act. Sorry, I don't know why I just that way. But still, you go back a couple of years and we've had all these people saying, oh, China's about to invade in Taiwan. It never happened. It hasn't happened yet. Why? Because it's not time yet. We have to remember that if we lose track of them actually being on I don't want to say like a schedule, a time schedule, but they have to get events down the checklist. They can't just be skipping things. And so the time's not ready yet. They are moving pieces. They're getting things ready. They're showing escalation for where things are going to explode when that time does come. And so if we don't have that understanding that these things are all under a controlled demolition, then we can get lost in all this news that's coming out, and we can go, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this headline. And we can start getting excited for things that we don't necessarily want to be excited for. And then we can fall into bad information. Like I've seen some reports out there saying, oh, South Korea attacked North Korea and North Korea responded and stuff. That never happened. What happened was after the explosion, the South Korean military on the border got confused and lobbed a few explosives over on the North Korea side, but nobody was hurt. No damage was done. It was just a confusion, retaliatory type of thing. And now we're standing pat with this escalation of roads being demolished and artillery being on the border. So I just want to make sure that we're all following along with how these things are working. I don't want any confusion. I don't want any sensationalism. I don't want any of that type of stuff as well. I just want to make sure we see what's happening. Ultimately, don't forget about North Korea, understanding that they are allied with places like Russia and whatnot. They are part of this game that's being played, and the pieces are being moved around the border for when the time comes and they decide to pull the pin on the grenade and things just start going haywire. And again, if we go back to Albert Pike's Freemason 3 World War back from the 1800s, 1871, I believe, we know that it's all going to start in the Middle East. And so that's why we watch there, but pay attention to what's going on and realize they're all waiting. They're all waiting for the time to come. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you for joining me today. And do not fear, do not worry, do not panic, and make sure you're out there sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with as many people as you can, because that is what we got to do. And time is running short. We don't know how long, but that shouldn't stop us. That should increase the fire in us to get out there and witness to these people and tell them about Jesus and what he's done for you. All right, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace out. Aaron Alton.